Hello. Today, Tuesday. It's actually a holiday here. It's Anzac Day. Anzac Day is the day that we remember, or I guess, what's the other word? Memorialize soldiers who died in various wars involved in. Anzac was originally an Australian New Zealand Army Corps because the two countries had a joint army system for a while. At least in the First World War, they did. We get a day off. Well, some people get a day off, and all the shops are closed until 1 p.m. And so, well, not and so, and also, I'm looking at this album here, Ben Folds' first solo album, "Rocking the Suburbs," which was released on September 11th, 2001. How's that for coincidence? There's a few albums released around that time, maybe not that exact day, but the week of, before or after. Like I remember Toxicity by System of a Down was released around that time as well. I think Iowa by Slipknot was released around that time. There's a few others as well. Anyway, I've done a previous video about Ben Folds' 5 album, Whatever Never Amen. And so I thought I'd look at his first solo album as well. So, as with so many of these, I've owned this before. I bought this, a pirated copy, when I was in uh, Southeast Asia about 20 years ago. And I had that for a while. And then, actually, I think I still have it, or at least I still have the disc. I might not have the case. But I saw this in a secondhand shop here in the last 2 years or so, and I picked it up for $1. And so, yeah, now I've got a official non-pirated copy, and I'm sorry to Ben Folds that I did buy a pirated copy, but um, these things happen. The condition of this is pretty good. You can see there's sticker marks, which is usually the most common problem with these. And that's not even necessarily a second-hand thing. Is that some of the stickers they put on these, like I would probably say this one too, if I tried to peel it off, they leave a really persistent residue that you can never really get off unless you do some hardcore cleaning, which I'm not really want to do. The disc itself is fine, good. No, I can't see any scratches actually. Very good condition. Oh no, I can see actually there's a little blemish there and there, but nothing major. There's Ben Folds with the hair of his wife, looking like a wig. So when this album came out, probably the song that most people remember is the song that shares the name of the album, "Rocking the Suburbs," track 10, which is kind of a funny song. He's kind of making fun or making light of that era of music. Like if you've seen the video, he's kind of lampooning, especially like Limp Bizkit and Korn, that kind of angry music. And it's like the main refrain or of the song is, you don't know what it's like being male, middle class, and white. And so I guess he's making fun of the fact that do you really have any major issues in your life if all those things are true? Do you really need to make such angry music? I guess he's not saying that you don't deserve to have issues, because everyone has issues regardless of where you are in your station in life. But I guess he's saying that is the anger required in your music when a lot of the things you're talking about are fairly mild in comparison to what some people go through. That's what he's saying. But he's saying it in a kind of a funny way. He's not serious well, maybe he is serious, but the song is almost kind of like a joke song, but it's still quite a cool song, I think. I like the chorus. It's got a catchy chorus, got a good hook. But as for the rest of the album, it's a bit different from Ben Folds 5 type stuff, is because it does feature piano still, but it's not as central to all the songs as it would be in Ben Folds 5. Like Rockin' the Suburbs, which is kind of just a straight ahead guitar rock song. And thinking about some of the other songs, I think Ben Folds was the main songwriter in Ben Folds 5. So whatever he does solo is always going to sound like that to an extent. And it does sound like it, but there's a little bit of difference. I don't know. If he released this and said, this is the new Ben Folds 5 album, would anyone really go, oh, this sounds so different? I don't think they would really. What I was just noticing when I was looking at the track listing is the preponderance of names involved in song titles. We've got Annie, Zach and Sarah, Fred Jones, Stan, Lisa, Kathy. So that's that's more than normal, isn't it? It's not normal or not usual or common to have that many songs with involving people's first names. My favorite songs, Annie Waits, the first song. I also like Fired. I like Rockin' the Suburbs. I like Gone. Losing Lisa. My favorite song is Not the Same, track 9. My least favorite song is The Luckiest. That's the reason I don't like that is it's too sparse. With Brick, one of the other famous songs that he did with Ben Folds 5, it's quite it's a soft kind of ballady song and quite, it's piano driven. But while you could say that The Luckiest is also a soft ballady song, piano driven, it has a lack of any sort of energy whatsoever. And I don't like his voice. He kind of does this falsetto voice throughout it that I don't like. So yeah, I dislike that track, The Luckiest. But the reason I like Not the Same. So I like Not the Same is because it's kind of got everything. I think it's a good song. It's good instrumentation. It's a good melding of instruments. It uses the piano, but also you can hear it's got a good bass line. And I think it's got guitar in it. It's kind of got a story to the lyrics. He's kind of telling a story about someone. It's got really nice vocal harmonies. And it's just got an overall mood that I like. It really fits. When you hear a song and it kind of it like connects in, it's like a puzzle piece. And it feels like it connects into you as a piece that's like yours. It's like one of your songs because it fits so well to your whatever, your feeling or your mood or your general whatever. Not all songs you like do that. There's lots of songs I like. I like Creeping Death by Metallica. I love that song, but I wouldn't say it's a puzzle piece that fits into me. There are certain songs that are more rare and there's something about them, and it's usually not even, it's like the feeling the song gives you, the atmosphere the song generates. That song's about a guy, let's look at the lyrics. You took a trip and climbed a tree at Robert Sledge's party. So it's about a guy who took a LSD trip. You took a trip and climbed a tree at Robert Sledge's party. Now, Robert Sledge, I think I talked about this in the other video. Robert Sledge was in Ben Folds 5. I think he was the bassist or drummer, because I'm not guessing. He's the bassist or the drummer. And so they're at a party at Robert Sledge's house, and the guy took a trip. But Ben Folds subsequently said in an interview that actually it wasn't Robert Sledge's party. It was Darren Jesse, the other member of Ben Folds 5. It was Darren Jesse's party, but he said the line, "You took a trip and climbed a tree at Darren Jesse's party," didn't work as well as Robert Sledge's party. You know, it's just that sometimes the formation of the word or the sound of the word works better in a lyric. So I thought that's kind of funny, but not really hilarious funny, but it's just interesting that the two members from his old band, he had to change their names out in the lyric. And there you stayed until morning came. You were not the same after that. So it's kind of, he took a LSD trip and he never came back. You gave your life to Jesus Christ, and after all your friends went home, you came down. You looked around. So it sounds like he's quite profoundly affected by this trip. He stayed up in the tree all night. He gave his life to Jesus. And then in the song, it gets to the vocal harmony. This very beautiful vocal harmony that he does with his own, backing vocals. What do you call it? Multi-tracks to kind of give it this effect. And then you get the lyric. Excuse me. My throat has really got something in it this morning, and I'm clearing it a lot. It's annoying. Sorry. Then we get to the chorus. You've seen them drop like flies from the bright sunny skies. They come knocking on your door with this look in their eyes. You've got one good trick, and you're hanging on to it. Now that I always felt, I've been listening to this song for 20 years, and I always felt that he was talking about people who go deeply into some sort of spiritual or religious life. And he says they drop like flies from the bright sunny sky. So like they're flying along normally, they're living life, and then suddenly they're gone. They join a cult, or they join a church, or they... Now he's looking at this in a negative way, I'd say. It doesn't necessarily have to be negative at all. They come knocking on your door, sometimes religious people do that. With this look in their eyes, they kind of have this vacant look, maybe he's saying. You've got one good trick, and you're hanging on. So you give everything over to this. That's the only thing in your life, one good trick, and you're hanging on to it. Then he goes, you took the word and made it heard. I guess the word there meaning the word of God, the gospel, and made it heard, preached, and eased the people's pain. And for that, you were idolized, immortalized. You were not the same after that. So I assume he's still talking to the same guy here. He gave his life to Jesus Christ after taking acid. Then he started preaching the Bible, and people loved him. He got a following. He was idolized and immortalized. Walking tall, you bought it all. You were not the same after that until someone died on the water slide. So this one, I always thought that's kind of a strange lyric, kind of sticks out a little bit. So I imagine, I'm sure everyone does this. In my mind, the guy is gone all religious, and he started a Christian youth group, and they went on a field trip to a water park, and the kids went on the water slides, and unfortunately one of the youth group members died. Sometimes there are accidents on water slides, aren't there? People go out, fall off them, or bang their heads, or drown. There's all sorts of terrible things you hear. That's what I imagine it. It could just be he's just put in something there that have nothing to do with that. I don't know. And then he goes back into the chorus. And there's kind of like a bridge solo in the song where he kind of like distorted screaming of the chorus, of the refrain, "You are not the same," with at the same time a kind of a vocal type thing. Not describing it very well. It's a really lovely song. Maybe lovely is not the right word. It's a really good song. It's not super heavy. It's not super light. It's kind of just a kind of a middle of the road song, but it's got some drive to it. And like I said, I like the vocals, I like the harmonies, I like the instrumentation, and I like the fact it's got a little story to it that you can kind of put your own thoughts and ideas. And that's, I sometimes go through periods of like wanting to know what songs are about, especially when I was younger. Sometimes like I'm like desperate to know what is the song. I want to know exactly what the writer, the songwriter, lyricist meant when he wrote this. And a lot of times the answer is not satisfactory, or it's not what you thought it was. Like there's this Tom York song that he did for the Suspirium album, which I think was like a soundtrack. The song Suspirium, if you've ever listened to that, it just a absolutely amazing song. And there's a lyric in that I think it's the last verse where he's kind of saying, "When I arrive, will you come and find me?" Which is, it sounds like it's in the context of when I die, will you be waiting for me? But there's other parts of the song. But anyway, apparently a lot of people asked him about that, and he was asked specifically in a interview, and he just kind of said, it means nothing. And this album in particular, I just kind of wrote stream of consciousness, and they had the lyrics really, they don't come from any of my personal ideas or feelings. And when I read that, I was like, I felt like that wasn't enough. I wanted to know exactly. But sometimes that's just, it's stupid, isn't it? It's what you take the song to mean. That's the beautiful thing about it. You can kind of, it can become something so powerful for you. There's so many songs like that you take. It's like an anthem for you. It kind of it speaks to you in some way. Another song by Converge, the kind of East Coast hardcore band, called Dark Horse, which has got a fucking killer guitar riff. If you listen to that, I don't know, you might not like hardcore music, but if you listen to the lyrics of that song as well, apparently some people took that to mean something negative, but I always heard that sound as a super empowering, energetic song, just like giving inspiration to anyone who wants to hear it. But I guess different people take different things from songs. I kind of focused there just on the one song, didn't I? Like I said, Annie Waits is a good song. It's got a nice kind of piano melody to it. And also, like I said, like Fired, that's kind of got almost kind of like a jazzy kind of type rhythm, do 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 do, which I think he does quite well. Yeah, it's a good album. I'd say it's a good 3 out of 5 album. A good solid album. It's got its peaks and troughs, but it's got a couple of really good songs. And as far as a first solo album, I think he should be pretty proud of that. He's made a lot of albums after this, hasn't he? And I think he made a Ben Folds 5 got back together and made one album as well together. Also, just as a bit of trivia, I was reading that Richard Fortus, I think that's how you pronounce his name, from Guns N' Roses 2.0, the newer Chinese Democracy era Guns N' Roses, and I think he's still in the band today. He played guitar on some of the tracks, which is not really something I would on specifically Rockin in the Suburbs. Not two bands I'd really associate, Guns N' Roses, especially Chinese Democracy era Guns N' Roses and Ben Folds, but there you go. Anyway, thank you very much for watching and listening.